Simon Hypixel, the founder of Hypixel Studios and Hytale, has gone to Twitter to inform us of what his plans would be in the event that Riot does choose to sell him the IP. In response to this meme posted by mine on X, Simon says, "Yep, it's not going to be perfect or what Hytale is supposed to be day one, that's okay. The cancellation might be a blessing in disguise to reset expectations and break the curse of perfectionism. If we can get the IP, of course. FYI, a lot of content would be cut early on, just to be able to release in some sort of alpha/in-dev version and get funding that way to complete the vision. I don't know the state of the game right now, but one thing for sure is we could release it with just the creative mode to begin with. Get the community involved ASAP in shared/open source while we finish the work on adventure, minigames, etc. This is a long-term project, would be taken care of for many years. Reality is, the early days of Minecraft didn't have much and it ended up okay. For our Minecraft server, we've been developing non-stop for 12 plus years, never stopped, and continued to go hard at it with a team of over 90 people and 40 million unique users, more than half of Minecraft Java total. Spend a few months evaluating the project. Pure engineering work, nothing new would be added during that time. Clean up and make sure things work properly and understand the state of each feature. Potentially fix some critical features in the process to achieve a basic game loop. After evaluation, we would write up a roadmap, share with the public, then start hiring artists and engineers to execute the roadmap. The just launch roadmap. Would the game loop be fun? Probably not the best. Does not matter for this phase. Just need to get it out, then make it super fun over time. The beauty of block games like this is that they don't rely entirely on survival/adventure features to be fun. You can just build or gather with friends and have fun as is, at least initially. Add creative mode as well, and it would satisfy the needs of many. When asked if he would be open to keeping features that are in the legacy engine that were developed post-2020, when Simon left the team, he said yes, everything good would stay in. The new combat looks amazing, for example, much better than my days by miles. When I say legacy engine, it's actually probably been updated until 2023 plus, and all of the assets made until 2025 cancellation are probably still working on the legacy engine. I don't know for sure, but it would make sense. This is referencing the fact that, from our understanding, the Hytale team was largely still working in the legacy engine while the new engine was being made to run properly. The new engine would probably need to be put in a vault for now, maybe revisited later on for cross-platform, but I doubt so. I've not seen anything at all since 2019 other than blog posts and maybe one PowerPoint that was shared with me 2 years ago with their roadmap. So this whole thing that Simon has said is pretty exciting, because providing he does get the IP, we will basically be seeing a version of Hytale that is pretty much entirely up to date with what we have seen before. At the very least, we know that the new combat has been added into the legacy engine, and presumably some of the Quebecs and Scarix have as well, although we can't say for sure, and he also may keep some of the updated lore. And to point out the unlikeliness of anything happening regarding this acquisition anytime soon, mine pointed out they're on summer break, referring to the Riot executive team, and Simon replied this. So yeah, obviously the acquisition is not going to happen anytime soon, and we shouldn't expect to hear news of any acquisition for at least a couple weeks, but probably even longer. Another user on X mentioned that the single player experience is very important to keep players and friends hooked so that you can mod the game later and have an audience to play your mods. And Simon responded, yes, that's the main thing that many game platforms don't understand. I am fully aware it's critical to have a great non-sandbox experience, and this is why Hytale feels heavy fantasy, with quests and such and a ton of ways to expand the game. Also, the minigames is where we have 12 plus years of experience, smiley face. Another user asked if Simon would be open to doing an AMA on the Hytale info subreddit. Simon responded, if I get the IP, 100% yes. I would like to do some kind of blog post on Reddit so people can ask us questions and give feedback on our initial plan of attack. I would like to make sure everyone understands the new direction and are okay with it. Lower their expectations that what we want to release isn't finished, and then for me it's useful because I wouldn't need to repeat myself 100 times a day publicly, as people would be able to share the plan themselves as they would have been part of it. Now this is a huge change in direction. Instead of the Hytale team we've seen for the past few years, and since I've started making videos, where they're very closed doors, not sharing a bunch with the community, only a couple blog posts a year, this would have us in on the action, directing what parts of the game we want to be developed, and altogether having a very similar development style to Reforge. which, if you don't know, is a similar sandbox voxel-based game being developed by 4J Studios, who made Minecraft Console Edition, where the devs are literally asking for people to give them their ideas on Discord to make the game as great as possible and get as much creativity in there as they can. Simon reiterated that he is willing and not afraid to release it in a quote-unquote bad state, as long as people understand it would be temporary, just to break the curse of release, and then work hard for many years to achieve the dream. This is a very strong rhetoric that he's been talking about, how he would just release it right away, get some money from the players, get some player feedback, and then take the game to as good of a state as possible. Simon also kind of amusingly spoke about his impact on the YouTube community. After Chippy Gaming said what a wild week for Hytale, Simon said it makes for some good YouTube content to say the least, and Simon, I agree my friend. Then a couple replies later, Simon says, look at the blog post count when I was there 2018 to 2019. I live for this, but it's also critical to developers to keep the fire well and alive, which is such a different angle than the current Hytale team had been taking, or I guess newly former Hytale team had been taking. And even later on, when Mine talks about this tweet that he had put out, Simon says, YouTubers would be eating good, that's for sure, which really excites me a lot as a YouTuber about Hytale. Simon also showed a willingness to bring old devs back. For example, Slikey, another higher up that used to work on Hytale and left about a year ago, said, Thomas has carried the art style of Hytale from day one and was always so pragmatic to work with. You're so talented and have shaped my understanding of a great artist. I am so glad to have worked with you and learned from you. Referring to Thomas Frick, who was a very key artist in Hytale and creator of a lot of the early art from Hytale blog posts. Simon responded, I agree. If all else fails, Thomas Frick should make his own studio. The community would crowdfund to the moon, to be honest. Without Thomas, there would be no Hytale today. He made it all possible to believe in the early days. It's frustrating not to be able to get the players to experience it all. And an ex-user asked him if he would bring Thomas Frick back, and Simon says, I have a feeling that Thomas is probably burned out on the promises of the past. I personally trusted the team to take care of him, and they have failed to do so I feel highly responsible for it. We haven't talked, but this is how I feel towards the whole journey. I wish him well, my door will always be open, but the chances of anything happening are so small that I don't want to reach out to anyone yet. No need for a roller coaster of emotions. He also spoke about Ninja Charlie T, an animator from the old Hypixel team, and the fighter we can see in this classic skeleton dungeon clip. He said, my boy Ninja Charlie T in the video, he ready to get working again. And it's really completely unclear what this means. If we go to Ninja Charlie's Twitter page, it says he's cooking something new. So really, no idea if this is Simon being open to rehiring him in the future, or if this is his own thing that Simon knows about, or if Simon is just saying things for the sake of saying things. Simon also spoke about the possibility of rehiring its Buddha cat. He said, my door will always be open for the current and former team as soon as the evaluation of the project would be done. I don't want to make promises nor reach out to anyone right now because I have no idea where the game is at or if I can even get the IP. Buddha was a pleasure to work with back in my days, love him. So again, this shows a very strong willingness to rehire old devs, even from the new team, who Simon probably wouldn't have worked with in the past. And again, he reiterates that he won't be doing any hiring until he already owns the IP. Simon then went on to talk about the music from the game. He said, I think there is over 15 hours of soundtrack. That's like 200 tracks. Oscar Garvin is the best. All of it behind a vault right now, never to be heard. Only a handful of people had the chance to hear it. I'll do everything in my power to find the key. Break the curse of release, let's bring it home. The next user also asked if Simon frequently checked out Hytale info, and Simon said, all the time, since day one, showing that he, like many of the other Hytale devs were for a while, will be active in the community if this does end up going through. And that is pretty much all Simon has said for the time being. Hopefully he enjoys his Canada Day, and while we wait for any future tweets, or potentially even announcements of any potential deals or deals in the works, although I highly doubt that that'll come anytime soon, I am actually rather excited for Hytale's future, because I do believe that there's at least a decent chance of this going ahead, and if it does go ahead, I think Simon will do fantastically, and it will be great for the Hytale community, finally getting the games into our hands within a couple of years. However, we must keep in mind, obviously, it's completely possible that Riot is just like, nope, and then doesn't do anything with the Hytale IP, and the game remains in its cancelled state. I hope that's not the case, but we've always got to keep in mind that that is currently where we are at. If you are excited about Simon's ability to revive Hytale, subscribe to the channel, and I will keep you updated on the news. I was going to make a video right when this dropped yesterday, but unfortunately I had to go shopping for some bandages because I injured myself on the weekend. So unfortunately I had to wait 16 hours after I went to bed, and now I'm making this video. Goodbye, stay happy, and hashtag save Hytale.